Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the TB&J podcast. With me today, Troy Brittingham.
You're back to singing. You're back to singing, huh?
I'm Jeff Ackerman.
You were called out by this by a
oh
friend recently.
yeah.
I hope you're listening.
This is for you, Dave.
Every other listener is just like, fuck this Dave guy.
We thought we were rid of it, but y'all were wrong. Like PB&J. Da, 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 da. So, welcome to this week's NFL recap. Also, cryptocurrency and AI.
What? Huh? No. No. What did I walk into?
Sam Altman has been fired from OpenAI, aka the creators of ChatGPT, and now he's gonna get a new job at Microsoft. This is a real story.
I don't know
that
any
we're
of
not
these
gonna talk
people.
about. That's okay. Anyway, Invincible episode 3. Troy, thumbs up, thumbs down.
Thumbs up.
Me, thumbs down.
Really?
No, thumbs up.
Okay, I was about to say I was kind of.
That's all, folks.
Cut that.
No,
That was.
go fuck yourself. You don't make those calls. I do. That's staying in, bitch.
But that was gonna blow my mind if you actually said thumbs down.
Thumbs down only because you may have killed Alan.
Yep.
Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I don't.
We did ask last time who was gonna die.
We did. Alan, from what little I know of the comics, he's got a pretty big role to play later on in the story. I don't believe they would kill him off.
I don't think he's dead.
It's definitely a cop out of some sort, right? Like
I think
they had that whole bit when I want to say Thanos, but it's not Thanos. Just the guy in charge of the
Optimus Prime.
the anti.
He's Optimus Prime.
Is he?
That's the voice. Yeah.
Oh, it's the same voice actor.
He's doing the exact same voice. Too.
Oh my god, that's so fucking funny.
When that character shows up on screen again, which I assume he will, listen to his voice. He's just doing Optimus Prime.
You know what? I really thought I recognized the voice, and now that you've put it together, I'm like, oh yeah, that's definitely Optimus Prime.
Yeah. It's like one of the most recognizable characters. There's like nobody else sounds like that.
Oh no, absolutely.
I didn't even look it up. It could be somebody doing
I
the best impression ever, but I don't think it is.
It could also be you. Never mind. But yeah, it's the fact that he had this whole bit about how they underestimated their will to live, and the fact that Alan is so strong, and then he just turns the life support off.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I feel like Alan has a chance to come back from that. He might not be in like a super good position. He's certainly not going to be fighting Viltrumites anytime soon.
If he was dead, I think that they would have shown more.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. I definitely think I agree with that. He did, but then again, at the same time, it would be very much like Robert Kirkman to just be like, "Fuck this guy, we're gonna kill him right now."
I think artistically you can kill off a character like that. I think that in this universe, people come back so often right now that they would want it to be a little bit less ambiguous.
Yeah, I mean, he did get a fist put through his abdomen.
Yeah, I mean,
and an arm just chopped off.
Mm-hmm.
Just karate chopped off.
His eye stalk.
His eye was just like bulging out of his head.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was gory and not great, but he
had what you'd call a bad day.
He had a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. But I do think Alan's gonna come back. I do think. I mean, that shows you that Optimus Prime there. He is the mole, right?
Yeah,
he's the mole for sure. What do you think the Viltrumites were doing there with Alan?
So, my question is it? Well, I guess they wouldn't just fucking nuke that whole planet for the reason of they have a mole down there or something like that. But because they could just have fucked up that entire planet. Three Viltrumites can kind of just do that.
Well, when they found Alan, he was in that diner in space with his girlfriend or wife or whoever that is. I don't think. I think the planet itself, where the building is, might be more of a mystery to them, or maybe it's not.
Well,
maybe
no, that's
it's
he said
common.
that he that's the one that they were on earlier. I think he said it's the only one with you on it and stuff like that. And
Okay. I missed that entirely. And so I guess it would make sense then. The planet's right there. That's where the anti-Viltrumite forces gather.
Mhm.
But I don't know. Maybe they want to.
I mean, you could come up with 1 billion explanations to.
You
call
sure
me an
could.
asshole.
There's so many reasons, plot armor and otherwise, of why you wouldn't just obliterate them entirely. But I'm curious to see where that goes. Especially after what we learned at the very end of this episode, Omni-Man's back, and
Mhm.
he's taken over a bug planet as their monarch, I guess. I don't know what that's necessarily about, but okay, Nolan,
What's the time span between season 1 and season 2? Do you know?
very little. Because season 1, he's a senior in high school.
Yeah.
Season 2, they opened it with him graduating, and he just went off to college.
I think
so it's a year, maybe?
my question, I guess, is did Nolan just take over this planet, or has he did he come back and they're like, hey,
Oh, you think like this was his old home
yeah,
before Earth?
yeah, what order of operations was it?
I like your terminology there. That's a good question. I don't know. I know that this is a big part of the comics.
Mhm.
And there is some spoiler stuff I know for the next couple episodes. If they want to follow the comics, I hope they don't, because the comics get really fucking weird.
Okay.
But if you want to do that, Kirkman and company, then you fucking go at it. I don't know where season 2 is really gonna end up at. Because, they teased Levy in episode 1, but it's been a couple episodes. We haven't even seen him.
Yeah, he hasn't reappeared.
He hasn't reappeared in a while. I guess they're going to save that for the end again or something. I don't know. I trust their pacing. So far, so good. I'm liking everything. What was your favorite part, buddy?
How many episodes is 8? Sorry,
I believe it's 8.
Sidestep your question.
No,
immediately.
you're fine. I believe it's 8 total episodes. I can Google that for you real quick. But, yeah, what's your favorite part of the
favorite part of the
episode so far?
I do like this awkward narrator that kept cutting back and forth.
Oh, yeah.
when
And the
things
cat licking its anus,
Mhm.
because we can't show sex in a TVMA television show on a streaming service.
2 anuses, by the way.
Licking its anus is.
Mhm.
Oh, pardon me. Pardon me.
But outside of that, I once again, I have not made this opinion clear on the podcast, I don't believe, but I have a long-standing opinion that I am not a big Joe Rogan, Jesus Christ, Seth Rogen fan. You can cut that if you want.
No, you're not a big
Is there
Joe
anything
Rogan fan. I mean,
I am not a big Joe Rogan fan.
That's just a fact.
But I'm also not a big Seth Rogen fan. However, he's done The Boys. I haven't seen the new Ninja Turtles, but I wanted to.
I've heard nothing but good things
Mhm.
from everyone that's seen it.
He has a hand in this show. He is a guy where his shtick I don't love that much, but whenever he kind of does like nerdy comic book stuff, I like all of his stuff. I like everything that he's involved in. And Alan in general is kind of like a really, really cool character in this whole thing. I like the title screen giving you the instead of Invincible, it's the Alan the Alien Show.
I loved that so much.
Also, they usually give you like a few minutes after all the credits. The credits are really halfway through this episode.
Well, they had that like a teasing bit of credits, and then it was back to Mark and
Mm-hmm.
the bug alien showing up disguised as the dog superhero, which was just hilarious to me.
The Doctor Strange dog.
Doctor Strange dog, that's what it is. I was wondering what
that
kind of...
it's like the exact Doctor Strange outfit.
Yeah. I really, really loved the Alan bit, because Alan was one of my favorite characters from season 1,
Mhm.
even though he had such little screen time. And I loved getting his character completely fleshed out a little bit more. You know, he is working really, really hard for the coalition of galaxies, planets, whatever you want to call them, against the Viltrumites. And he's a really fucking hard worker. And he's just doing his thing, and he's got his girlfriend, and I just love Alan. I just want to give him a hug.
It was funny because second one, the guy says, Optimus Prime, says, there's a mole, and I'm like, oh well, it's the girlfriend. And then he turns around and is just like, by the way, you're the greatest asset here, and we all appreciate you. And I'm like, you're the bad guy. And then it was like that was it. There was no second thought after that, and it was like 2 seconds after he said it.
Yeah, I mean, he did manage to tell her in the diner that there is a mole before he got like pummeled out of it by the Viltrumites.
Yeah, and
then she got asked to leave the hospital room. And then Optimus Prime went in and turned off life support. She seems like a smart enough character to put 2 and 2 and 2 together. Mm-hmm. Like, oh, there's a mole. Alan was investigating it, and now he's dead after I left him alone with Optimus Prime. Like, clearly, the math is mathin', and now I got to figure this out before we're all in deep, deep, deep shit. My biggest worry with all of this, and I don't know if you were aware of this, did you know that they're doing a mid-season hiatus?
I did not know that.
So I learned this today, but episode 4 comes out at the end of this week, and then we have to wait until next year for the second half of season 2. It's just 2024 TBD. What?
So they don't even have a date. It's not even like January.
Nah, it's just 2020. They say early 2024.
Okay,
but
that's
like
at least January, February, probably.
Why? Why are you doing this? And does this mean that we're going to get one of those like really fucking stupid cop-out mid-season finales?
I mean,
that they used to do back in like the Lost era of television and shit?
I mean, it won't end on nothing. It'll for sure be a cliffhanger.
It's going to have to end on something, right? Because they want you to come back for episode 5. They got to leave you on that cliffhanger. Mm-hmm. They got to leave you wondering who shot JR. To use a reference that's older than both of us, I think, put together. 1980? You know what's funny? I actually made that reference earlier today, and out of curiosity, I Googled it. The Who Shot JR resolution came out exactly 43 years ago today.
Oh.
Yeah.
What are you referencing, by the way?
Do you not know that?
I probably do.
So there was a soap opera in the 70s called Dallas.
Okay, I don't know this.
And Dallas, one of the main characters was this oil tycoon named JR, and he was having an affair with his sister-in-law, and she shot him. But, like, at the end of the season, it was just JR getting shot. You didn't see who did it, and then the season ended. And this was 1978, 79, so, like, you had to wait until 1980 to get your answer. It was everywhere. They had magazine covers that said Who Shot JR. There were billboards. It was one of the biggest TV things in modern history. I'm not kidding. It was every fucking where. And it was so well known that The Simpsons did a ripoff of it when what's the baby's name? She shot Burns, and it was Who Shot Mr. Burns for a season finale.
Is that Maggie?
Maggie, yes. Yeah. The Simpsons did like
I've never seen an episode of Simpsons either.
You've never seen The Simpsons?
I've never seen The Simpsons, no.
This is now a Simpsons review podcast.
I've seen The Simpsons movie.
That's a weird one to be your one.
Well, it's because that's been more like it's shit.
You haven't
on
even
TV
seen like the Conan O'Brien classics, like the monorail episode?
No.
Really?
No, I've seen nothing. I've never seen a Treehouse of Horror.
What?
It's
Treehouse of Horror is like a go-to in my family for Halloween watching,
and it's for no other reason than I just haven't done it. I have nothing against them, and now it's the thing of just like, I mean, how do I fucking get into The Simpsons?
You just start wherever.
Yeah.
It's an animated sitcom.
Yeah.
Back when they didn't have Rick and Morty storylines.
Right. It's not a Marvel movie. I don't need to fucking know where Iron Man came from.
You know who Homer is? Great.
Sure.
Just pick an episode.
But I don't know. It's still like a very weird sort of to be like I'm watching season 23 episode 16 is strange.
Cool,
to me.
go for it. That's a bad season to start with.
Wow, I was picking a number. I don't know.
I made that up. I wanted to sound like I
have heard that it's good recently.
Yeah, a lot of so here's the thing, right? And this is a part of a larger conversation, but like TV shows started taking a bit of, like animated TV shows specifically, a lot of their writing, like SpongeBob and The Simpsons are the two examples I can think of. They started taking a dip around like 2010-ish. Started getting like a little worse quality. South Park went through this. The Simpsons went through it, where a lot of seasons were just bad in the 2000s and 2010s.
Family Guy, you could argue, was still going through it.
Yeah, but then the thing specifically with SpongeBob and The Simpsons was that they started so early and were still going. A lot of the kids that grew up watching them and went to college to be writers are now writers.
Mm-hmm.
And they got jobs on SpongeBob and The Simpsons. And they started writing what they remembered and jokes that they wanted, and it became really good again. As a matter of fact, I believe the Steven Hillenburg, he like personally signed off on a few of the new writers for SpongeBob as like, no, these guys know my original vision. I love them. Put them in.
Yeah,
it's fucking amazing.
It's very this is a different situation entirely, but it's very sort of Dave Filoni being the new Star Wars guy.
That's another thing that just happened.
He for sure knows more about Star Wars than George Lucas ever did.
And Kathleen Kennedy ever will.
Wow. I am not a Kathleen Kennedy fan, but I also try to go to bat for her a little bit on this podcast whenever her name comes up.
I've noticed that, and I don't understand why.
I think it's just because there's so many people who fucking hate her for the worst reasons that it's like how I defend fucking Captain Marvel, and I think that movie fucking blows. Where it's just like it's more the clientele of people who hate it. I don't like.
Do you think I'm a neck-bearding Redditor who's just attacking Kathleen Kennedy?
No, this is the same thing as when we did our video game podcast the other day. Give it a listen. You mentioned Smash Brothers, and immediately I had to fight against a caricature that wasn't you, that talked about it not being a fighting game, and that wasn't what you were saying at all, and my argument was unnecessary entirely.
A bit. I did kind of figure that out. I was like, oh, Troy's just making sure, like,
Yeah, I'm arguing against somebody who's just standing behind you making worse points.
Somebody who's not here on this podcast.
Yeah.
I just like Kathleen Kennedy for taking creative control, at least in part, of the sequel movies and not letting and rushing them so that they didn't have a coherent plot across 3 movies.
Mm-hmm. We're not doing a Star Wars podcast.
Yeah, this is a Star Wars podcast. This is an Invincible podcast, a much better product. So, if you skipped all of that nonsense and got right to this part where we resumed talking about Invincible, it's a really good TV show. And one of my favorite parts of this episode was Debbie. I fucking love her whole plot.
Sure.
She finally finds somebody she can trust at the grief group for superhero spouses, and she opens up a little bit about her being Nolan's wife, and all of a sudden this friend of hers just turns in an instant and tells her she shouldn't come back. It wouldn't be a safe space and this and that. And now she's just arguably worse off than she was before she went to grief counseling. And it's just, I don't know where she goes from here. Everything is so fucking tough for her right now. And she's completely alone. Mark's off at college. Even if he wasn't, he's an 18-year-old kid. He doesn't know how to handle grief. I don't know where Debbie goes from this that isn't just a dark, depressing place. And I'm very, I don't know if concerned is the right word, but I'm a little, maybe anxious is the right word. I'm trepidatious?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I wish there was someone here who had, like, a master's degree in English or something that, like, knew the word I was looking for.
Yeah, I mean, that's weird. I mean, it usually is just us doing this podcast.
Yeah, it's weird, right?
There's people who ever do it.
I just leave the third microphone there for nobody.
Right.
Yeah. It's usually for my wife if she ever decides to love me. But I'm a little concerned that the mid-season finale is just going to be like them teetering on a dark place, Mark and Debbie, and they just get pushed off of it in the rest of season 2. Because I know that Invincible has that arc in the middle of the comics where he does have the super dark blue and black suit, and he goes through a very dark period of grieving and not necessarily always doing the right thing. And that's the tease we're getting with the Invincible logo each time, where you see that dark blue and black suit under the cracks. So I'm very, very curious to see how the rest of this season plays out, especially given the fact Amazon is about to make me sit on my hands for 2 months or more waiting for the other half of it to drop.
Maybe that's when we finally talk about Gen V, we technically missed out all on.
Yeah, I guess we could do that. We could also throw the Marvels in there, I guess.
Sure.
Five Nights at Freddy's.
Mm-hmm.
If we
I've already seen it.
If we wanted to beat ourselves up a bit.
I've already seen it.
There's a lot of movies coming out too.
Yeah.
Aquaman comes out right around Christmas.
Oh yeah. What? I
yeah,
forgot that movie existed.
The Marvels is currently playing.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to forget that movie existed.
I haven't seen it.
Is that it for Invincible, do you think? Is there any more you want to talk about?
So I actually wanted to go back to...
Please do, because there's definitely more.
There's a lot to talk about in this episode. We kind of skimmed it a little more than I wanted to.
We got too busy talking about The Simpsons and Dallas.
But the support group specifically...
Yes.
I have two things that I like about it is, one, I sort of expected her to kind of keep up a lie for a few episodes, and I kind of like that she just kind of came out and sort of exploded out the information right then and there. Because it's I feel like everybody has seen the version of a show where the lie is kept up multiple episodes until it blows up, and then you're like, oh no, it happened, and then in a few episodes it's resolved again.
Yeah, and it's like, why did you lie, Debbie?
Yeah, and suddenly everybody, it's more about you lying and whatever. It's like, we've seen that plot. Two, I was upset initially, being like, well, come on, like, he didn't kill your what was it, wife or girlfriend? I don't know if they were
partner.
Married. And I was sort of like, okay, well, I'm expecting him to turn around and kind of forgive her, and then he very quickly was just like, nah, fuck you, actually. And it's almost, I've almost seen people be too supportive in especially like adult animated stuff, that I almost am cool with it kind of going back to a place where it's just like, no, I'm mad. Like, just let me be mad.
Yeah, I'm just fucking mad, man. And then I don't understand how a group centered around grief could try to pin Omni-Man's crimes on her.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it. Your partner's dead. Her husband killed her. Excuse me. That. I mean, you've been talking to this lady now for hours, presumably, between the counseling and the bar, and you really think that she's just this psychopath who's in grief counseling because she supported her husband's murder of superheroes and almost murder of the planet Earth?
Yeah, but I think there's also an extra layer of it, of like, if you...
I'm not saying I don't understand it.
Yeah.
It seemed like they may have been further along in the grieving process to the point where they could have maybe forgiven her.
Yeah, I was going to come up with an analogy and could not get there.
Right.
But yeah, it's definitely a thing.
If only there was an English teacher here to help us.
Nah, we don't need it. But yeah, I don't know. I think that he comes off as a dick in this moment, but not enough where I'm like, this character's bad. I think that it's to a point where I'm just like, I totally understand this dude.
No, I completely understood it, and I didn't think it was a badly written character or even a badly written response. I just wanted more for Debbie because I feel for her so bad, and I just want her to overcome this overwhelming grief and just this sense of basically she lost who she was. Right? Like, she had a man she loved and a son with this person and a home and a family they built together. And then he goes on national TV and says it was all a facade and he never loved you and your family means nothing to him. It was just a means to get an heir. Like, bro, fuck you, man. Fuck you, Nolan. I hope Mark doesn't forgive you. I hope he kicks your ass again. Even though he didn't really kick your ass the first time. You just got bored and left.
Well, yeah, that's the other thing. You said that this is at the most a year after the first season.
Mm-hmm.
Mark cannot start the next episode by swinging because
he'll die.
Get beat up. Yeah.
Yeah. Not really, but because I don't think Nolan would kill Mark, but I think it would come close again. And that's the other thing. Do you think Mark, as a half Viltrumite, has a ceiling that is on par with Omni-Man, or do you think it's much lower because he's half human? Like, obviously, being half Viltrumite, he is a lot sturdier and can punch a lot harder than most things on Earth, but is he capable of, like, a full Viltrumite's power? That's the question, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what the anti-Viltrumite Defense Force wants him to be, is somebody that can take on.
I mean, I think
Viltrum.
the cap is more in the fact that Nolan was born, and then they're just like, all right, train for war and kill each other.
Yeah, it seems like Viltrum is just Sparta on steroids. It's just an absolutely roided out version of ancient Sparta. And you've got all these warrior people that are just the biggest, baddest motherfuckers
And
in
all
the
the men
world.
have mustaches.
And all the men have mustaches, apparently.
What's your take? Should all the women have mustaches?
You know what? Probably. Like in Lord of the Rings.
They don't, but they should, is what I'm saying.
Lord of the Rings, the dwarf women are supposed to have beards.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it's something similar. Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? Did you have anything you really didn't like about this episode?
Not really. I do have one thing that has been in the back of my head that could be nothing. Do you think that they wrote Amber to be a little bit more passive in this season because there was a bunch of outcry against her last season?
Oh, I don't think that at all, really.
There was one line in particular. She's been very, very nice to Mark all season. Not to say that she wasn't nice to Mark first season, but there's a line specifically where she says, like, don't apologize for saving people. Like, I know what I signed up for when I signed up for a superhero boyfriend. When last season she, like, really got mad that the secret identity was, like, a secret type of thing. And I remember people got really, really mad about that. And I don't think that there's any sort of weird, like online Reddit appeasement going on. But
Absolutely not.
Yeah, and that's why I think that I just don't think it would actually happen.
No, I think this is just a regular progression of the character.
Sure.
She wasn't necessarily mad at Mark for being invincible.
Mm-hmm.
She was mad that Mark hid it from her.
Yeah.
And that Mark thought he could just keep hiding it from her and everything would be fine. And that's not how it works at all. You see that play out in the last, I don't know, million years with Spider-Man and Mary Jane, or Spider-Man and Gwen Stacy, depending on who's writing. It just doesn't work at all. And then eventually it comes out, and then you got to figure out how to live with somebody who puts others in front of themselves every single day to save the world, or save the city, or save a kitten out of a tree. Who knows?
I think my my only gripe is that she's very chill about most things in this season so far.
She does seem a little more chill than she was last season, but I didn't really even like notice it until you had brought it up. It just seemed like a progression of the character to the point where, Mark is saving the world. Because, like, in the first episode, she was shown, like, volunteering at the city comptroller trying to get her reelected. She seems like the kind of person who does try to do as much good as she can within her power. So her boyfriend being an absolute superhero who does save the world is probably something she admires, actually. And she probably tries to support it as best she can.
I agree.
It doesn't seem out of character or anything at all, in my opinion.
And also, this is like the most stressful part of his that we've seen of him since fighting Omni-Man. He's been very stressed out having like a job with Cecil.
Yeah. Also, like, she might be cutting him some extra slack because his dad just tried to kill him,
right,
and then ran away.
Yeah. That's
like
that's the other part of it. I
things
just
don't
have,
exactly go back to normal after that.
Mm-hmm. I just have weird internet conspiracy brain. It's why I argued against.
It's because you keep watching Joe Rogan. You need to stop.
I don't watch Joe Rogan. I watch other
Tucker Carlson.
I watch other lunatics.
The guy who voiced Bear from Arthur, and he has that meme about
you're
Change
thinking
My Mind.
Steven
Crowder.
Yeah, he plays Brain.
Yeah, he played Brain on Arthur, so that gives him some clout, I guess.
And he's very cool and I haven't looked into anything he's done recently because there's something happening in the world right now and I don't want to hear his takes on it.
Didn't he like abuse his wife? And then they got separated.
There was some emotional yelling and a divorce and insinuation that divorce should not be legal in the state of Texas. But that's neither here nor there. We're not.
Oh, he lives in Texas. Color me
yeah.
surprised.
A bunch of those dudes all moved to Texas recently. Because
Yeah, no
they
shit.
wanted to be Texans.
No fucking shit. And then you realize the summers are 120 degrees and the cost of living is through the fucking
Ben
roof.
Shapiro also moved to Texas. It was a whole thing. Anyway, we're not talking about Ben Shapiro and Steven Crowder. This isn't Steven.
I was happy before you opened your mouth today, Troy. I was happy. All right? Now I'm grumpy.
Also, those are not the people we usually complain about. There's weirder, more obscure internet weirdos.
Why do you do this to yourself?
I don't know.
Just do what I do and only consume content that makes you happy.
No. I don't think I will. I don't think so.
That you could do a better Captain America than that. Go on, try it again.
I can do a better Captain America?
You said, no, I don't think I will.
Oh, no.
Try it again.
No, I don't think I will.
That sucked. What was that supposed to be?
I was trying to throw a little bit
Mr. Rogers on his deathbed?
I was trying to throw a little bit of Joe Biden in there, I think.
Oh, God.
Because he looks like Joe Biden.
Get out of here with that bullshit. Jeez Louise, what the fuck? All right, that's it for Invincible, I think. What do you think?
I don't think much of anything anymore.
Perfect. That concludes this episode of the TB&J podcast. Tune in next week when we talk about the last episode of Invincible before the mid-season hiatus.
And then who knows?
Who knows?
We'll figure it out by the time next episode is out.
I really want to do Lawman Bass Reeves with you. It's already a couple episodes in.
I keep seeing it pop up on the little ticker on my TV.
Yeah, because it's really good.
Mm-hmm.
And you need Paramount Plus to watch it.
But we still have that, right?
Yep.
All right.
What? I do, you leech.
Well, first off, we both have two different accounts, and we would never account share. That's not a thing that we would do.
They're not Netflix.
And we don't
it's fine.
do it.
They're not Netflix. It's fine.
Yet. But it's okay because we don't do it anyway.
Thank you all for listening. Tune in next week when we talk about more things. And hopefully our other co-host joins us. Who knows? Should we hold auditions for a new guy? I know Shapiro has a home studio.
Their name has to start with the letter D. Dennis Prager.
Dennis Prager.
Yeah.
There you go. That was a real short search.
How do you think his media opinions are?
Not great.
No.
No.